Hi everyone. There will be no pictures in this video, just my personal sovereignty over my own cognitive awareness, my spirit, if you will, speaking from the heart. There is deep concern and an internal push to speak up over what is happening right now. As I began writing what I wanted to express today from the notes that I've been taking for the last couple of weeks, the message flowed from my being, and I realized that now is not the time to kiss anyone's ass. I made every attempt in my last several videos to take a different approach in my messages, hoping that people would understand better if I explained without the sarcasm or frustration that filled my older videos. There will be no sarcasm in this message, just a straight up, no holds barred message to speak directly to those who are making history right now. To those who are catching on and listening to their own deep inner wisdom, this message is not for you. But I am seeing something so horrific I have to speak up about it, and for those who prefer the soft voice, feel free to click the stop button and find a more suitable voice to listen to, because this won't be that. I'll be nice in my next video, maybe. But this message is only to those who haven't got a clue and cannot see their own tyranny right now in this illusory first cognition paradigm and are unable to control themselves and are acting like fools. Right now, while I still have a platform and a voice, it's time to once again be very clear on what I want to say to some of you out there and not mince words. So I've placed this video as age restricted for adult content, and any of you who don't want to hear me speak genuinely and are easily offended, shut the video off right now. I gave you fair warning. I'll begin with the fact that, as I've always said, we're all creating from an energetic force of potentiality. Every living sentient being is creating at all times. Whether they create something awesome from pure potentiality that all can benefit from, or something destructive from the same source of potentiality that destroys that potential in another sentient being, is the only difference. Let me be clear about this. This is a no rules multiverse. It's a free-for-all. Do you get that? That's why Jonathan stated it's creation and miscreation, and we had better know what that actually means. It means that no matter how much you wish to cling to some god or goddess that will eventually stop the bloodshed, it's up to you to stop it. That being does not exist outside of you. When I say a no-rules universe or multiverse, that's exactly what I mean. There are what some would define as laws, and many have called universal laws. But there's a huge chasm in understanding the difference between the forces behind the automatic, unchangeable frequency results of what's actually possible and what humans have decided are rules. They are not the same. Rules, or mandated laws, are only necessary in this no-rule universe because humanity has demonstrated over eons its inability to self-govern. Without the rule of law, we'd have all destroyed ourselves long ago. And you can see this happening all around you, especially right now. So, in an effort to create some stability, the God concept was put in place to keep those who had some sense of personal responsibility safe from those who did not. If everyone had some fear of an omniscient, omnipresent, supreme deity, or all-seeing eye, if you will, think about that would punish the unrighteous and protect the innocent, there would be some stability within humanity. But this has nothing to do with multiversal laws. There are none. That's why calling them laws really screws things up. It's better to see them as what I call givens rather than laws. The automatic results of creative choice. Take the law of allowance, for example, that I've shared from the handbooks from the New Paradigm. It's not a law, as in a mandate from some higher governing mind that states, "Thou shalt not disallow another to have the free will to execute whatever it chooses to create without interference from any other being within the said multiverse." No, it's more like a given. If you toss a ball into the air, it'll come back down. Or if you swing a pendulum hard to the left, and it will execute the same force of energy back to the right. What are called universal laws are really just givens in that it creates harmony when observed and disharmony when rejected. Like no trespass and impeccability, they constitute freedom of expression and creation, whereas trespass and corruption destroy the potential in another to choose his own creative expression. Does that mean that these so-called laws are mandates for existence? No. Unfortunately, it's a free-for-all, to do what thou wilt, and the choice to self-govern your own being is all that matters. And this is exactly why you've seen no evidence that any godlike supreme deity is interfering in this tragic ordeal, nor aliens or light beings. Why? Because it's all bullshit. Now the conundrum, and another language advisory, so do what thou wilt in your free-for-all multiverse. In other words, listen or don't. We have what looks like, from the perspective of many, of what could be the rise of a potentially fascist leader. We want freedom from the gradual Fabian Marxist takeover of our nation and any other democratic nation, and yet some are fearful of the opposite extreme, me being one of them, but not for the reasons most of you think. This entire country has never been more divided and violent in their creative expressions to destroy their so-called enemies, which, if you haven't noticed, are their very own fellow human beings. Here's what I hope to drive into your computerized, filtered brain, bypassing the fragmented hypnotic programming that is currently fucking up your ability to think clearly. There has never been a fascist regime takeover of any country without the full support of the deeply ingrained tyranny that is within the brainwashed people, hypnotically programmed to do exactly what they are instructed to do. Now back that up if you didn't catch it, because I'm not repeating it for your clarity. These people beat the drums of war, the destruction of their fellow human beings, and raise their fists and their flags to oppose any who would dare attempt to reason with them. Have you paid attention to all the Fabian Marxist fascist expressions on the left? I have, and worse. They're all being expressed on the right, too. I've been watching the comment sections of YouTube and other social media platforms, and I'm telling you right now that both sides of this extreme left and right are doing exactly what they've been programmed to do. The left are rioting, and they're hurting people and violently destroying property, and the right feel justified and are condemning those actions. Why? Because they think they won when Kavanaugh was confirmed. What do you really think all those hard right swingers would have done if he had not been confirmed? Yeah, exactly what the left are doing right now. Only they'd be gun-toting fanatics outraged at the decision and performing all the very same atrocious acts of the left, and possibly worse, never even remembering how they had just condemned the left for doing the exact same thing. It's not Trump's potential to become a fascist leader that you need to worry about. It's you demonstrating that potential right now. Trump will not be the fascist dictator. The people will become the tyrant. No racist, fascist idea has ever come into fruition without the people blindly backing that idea, even to the death of themselves and their fellow human beings. Never once aware of what they have fallen for. Now go back and look at Hitler videos. Watch the people, not Hitler, for fuck's sake. Now tell me that is not exactly what you see on both the left and, sadly, as much as I hate to wake you up to the fact, but the right as well. Chanting and flag waving, cheering and demanding the left be taken down, and verbally assaulting anyone who dare speak out against them or Trump. Even Christians, who are obviously tired of waiting for Jesus to return, have now made Trump their savior and pray for God to bless him. Well, God help us all if he lets us down, because those same people will turn on him just like they did their Jesus if that should happen. He's only one man who is doing exactly what he said he would do. Kind of like that other guy I just mentioned from 2,000 years ago, that's never been back because the majority are all insane. So chill out and get the fuck out of his way and vote for the end of tyranny. Put your energetic impetus behind that, whether it be Trump or anyone else who has the power vested in them by the people to make such change. But you need to end the tyranny within you first. Do you get that? Do you know that if you hate the left or the rhinos or anyone else for that matter, you will do stupid shit to them when this whole fucking deal gets brought down? You're doing it right now, for fuck's sake. All this victory bullshit and the "we told you so" will be the most stupid and non-productive response ever. And all this demand to destroy, in the most insidious ways, their fellow Americans, not the Democrat neighbor or the Republican waitress, but your fellow Americans that are under hypnosis, just like you are. That all those on the right are actually verbally blasting everywhere on social media and will scream it from the rooftops after November 6th? Unless you get bitch slapped by the left and they take your Senate, and then you will have your day to protest and destroy your own neighborhoods and possibly even kill someone. Don't kid yourself. You will be as insane as those on the left are right now if you are tested in this way. Have you forgotten where you were on 9/11? How about when you first found out about government conspiracy? Will you have any fucking mercy on those who get it all shoved down their throats in one massive dose over the next few weeks? Or are you just going to be a total inconsiderate dick? Beat your overinflated but now sagging self-righteous breasts, thinking you were smart enough to be on the right side and how proud you are to be an American? Do you not think that those on the left, who were totally deceived and unknowingly supporting this tyranny, some their entire lives, will not be sickened to realize that they damn near allowed their leftist, Fabian-influenced Democratic leaders to place them under communism? How many senators voted no on Kavanaugh because of blackmail? How many hung their heads in shame after doing so, knowing it was the end of their careers because they felt safe and protected by the regime who blackmailed them? What are you teaching your children by your actions in all this? Are you setting the example of how they can defeat tyrannical behavior within themselves and those they know in order to never go back to this once it's brought down? Or are you teaching them to be the next generation of bullies and victims, creating a need for a dictator to suppress society once again and mentally backing the next Führer reigning over them? It takes more balls to end the tyranny within yourself than it does to end it on a full scale of this tyrannical reality. Those of you who are demanding the end of the leftist mentality better see it within yourself first and start there, before you find yourself having ignorantly created the very thing you fear most. Those people will be shocked to the core, and they're going to need your help, not your narcissistic, self-righteous abuse of their faulty thinking, just like you did at one time. The one thing I can't stand more than anything else I've made mention of over the years are people that forget where they came from. Now, all of that was mine, my spirit, speaking openly, using my personality to express what's within me. With all that said, people have asked me, why have I encouraged people to listen to Jonathan Adampant's videos from over 10 years ago and Endel and Jim Abiel's books and videos created over the past 3 years and still being produced right now over on Patreon? It's simple, really. Because they've already provided the information that can change this entire reality to one without the cancerous entity over it. Why would I need to try to do it better than the best when it's already been done? If I can add to it, then great, but directing you to the information that has already been provided is wisdom. Trying to explain what they've already made perfectly clear is useless. If you're not going to invest in yourself, by reading their material and listening to their messages, you're not going to listen to me either. Both Jonathan and the Beals shared in multiple ways what they foresaw well in advance if people did not begin to connect with their own spirit, to take personal sovereignty over their own cognitive advancement, to increase their own awareness and advance their consciousness in order to see the big picture. If you're not into that, and all you want to leave behind as your legacy in this world for your own children and future generations is how you held up the best sign, waved the best flag, yelled louder than anyone else, wore the fancy hats, created the best meme or Twitter post, verbally attacked the opposition in a nasty, hateful comment, and created the best t-shirts during the most critical time in all of human history, whether you were right or left, and the future generations end up under a communist regime because of all that, I have only one more thing to say to you. You and those like you have missed your greatest opportunity to end this tyranny on a massive scale, and will never see how you took part in poisoning your own mind and the minds of those around you. But those you leave behind here, they'll remember. They're going to remember how you berated and abused those who were deceived, and they'll also remember that you were once deceived too, only that you never got far enough to recognize your own self-deception after your brief and very limited awakening. Maybe they'll forgive you for your stupidity, and maybe not. As for me, I'm putting all my energetic impetus behind the freedom of tyranny on both sides of the divided aisle. I hope you'll decide to stop the insanity and do that too. We are Americans. We are not the United States Corporation. Get behind your fellow men and women and be there for those who are about to have the worst awakening in all of human history. It's not their fault. Don't let it be yours. Let those trained to execute the removal of the parasites do their jobs. Stay out of their way and be ready to clean up the psychological mess that could take years to recover from right in your own community. We are creating history. What will your contribution be? A calm, attentive assistance where needed, or a violent end to what could have been a beautiful beginning? The choice in this no-rules multiverse is yours. It always has been. How will you be remembered, and what part will you play? And if I may borrow the words from Endel and Jimma Beale, for those of you doing the work, stay the course, and don't give up on yourselves. Thanks for listening.